Hello, this is Marcin Moskała, and today I would like to correct one of the most common and hurtful misconceptions about Kotlin. Let's start from a video from a very popular channel explaining Kotlin in 100 seconds.
Are significant. Kotlin supports familiar object-oriented patterns, but can do special functional things that Java cannot, like modify the behavior of a class without inheritance using extension functions.
Yes, so this is what I mean. Treating extension functions as a feature that modifies a class is scary and extremely misleading because this isn't what they do. Just the opposite. They are designed to not modify the class. Extension functions are just functions that that can be called on an instance of a class. Just different way to call a function. Let me show you that in practice. Here I have an object, a user, and here I have an extension function that is called on a user. So from the perspective of Java developer, it looks like a method. I mean, it technically is a method, but it like the call of it looks like a call of a member function. So this and this look similar, but under the hood, they cannot be any more different. Extension functions under the hood are just like regular functions. So under the hood, print user is just a regular function with a user passed as an argument. This is why extension functions cannot access anything private. You can see there is an issue here. They also cannot modify class behavior, and they can only define methods that are called on instances of classes or objects, not with those objects as regular arguments. This is syntactic sugar. If you checked out what's under the hood, you would see that if I compile Kotlin to JVM bytecode, I decompile it to Java, see it one next to another, you will see that the print user function is a regular function with user passed as an argument, and inside our main function, user.printUser is just print user with user as an argument, as you can see. This is an essential feature of extension functions, and because of that, extension functions are actually more, not less powerful. Thanks to that, it is safe to use extension functions. You shouldn't be worried to define them for providing additional behavior. Also, thanks to that, so yeah, we have better safety. Also, thanks to that, we have many features related to extension functions that members cannot provide. Extension functions can be defined on nullable types, on specific types. A good example is when you have a list of iterable, you can calculate sum of elements. There is some extension function. Now, a regular iterable or a regular list doesn't provide this function. If this were an iterable of string, there wouldn't be such a function. But iterable of int provides such a function. How so? Because there is an extension function specifically on iterable of int. We have functions like sorted by, sorted that can only be called on a iterable of t, where t is comparable. Yeah? So if you have some list of comparable elements, you can sort them, but if you have list of elements that do not implement comparable interface, you cannot sort them, etc., etc. Now, why do we use extension functions? Why they are so loved by library creators? Why vast majority of functions in Kotlin standard library are extension functions? It's not only about comfort. I mean, comfort is one thing. You can define methods on types you do not control, so you can define an extension on a string or list. It's a pretty common thing to do. but that's not the only reason. I think it is quite visible when we consider iterable interface. So iterable is an interface defined in Kotlin. It of course maps to Java iterable. So you can say it maps to a type in Java, but it's a very simple interface that just expects you to define an iterator. So this is the essence of iterable. Iterable is something you can iterate over. Okay, so it seems that this interface is very basic. This is the basic behavior of iterable. But on an iterable object, there are plenty of methods. Of course, practically all those methods are defined as extensions. Iterable is a very simple concept, something that you can iterate over. But if you can iterate over something, there are many things you can do with it. Okay, so you can sum of elements, or you can check if any of them fulfill some predicate, etc., etc. Find last, find distinct, group them into chunks. Many things we can do with objects that we can iterate over. And this is a very important distinction. Thanks to this, thanks to extension functions, we have a very simple interface, iterable, and many algorithms defined for things that we can iterate over. So extensions are not for essential things. For essential behavior, essential capabilities, we use member functions. But for algorithms, for things that we can do with objects, extensions are a preferred way. Extensions are a nicer way to define utils. Now, I hope you can see extensions are much more preferred over top-level functions with parameters as arguments. Just imagine what would happen if we wanted to define this without extensions. In such case, iterable must be an argument on sorted. Sorted must be an argument on filter. Filter must be an argument on a map, and map must be an argument on each. That would be completely unreadable and completely inconvenient. So that's one reason why we use extensions. This gives us a really nice usage, a really nice discoverability of methods. It also gives us nice support for many native Kotlin features, for instance, for nullability support. If this iterable were nullable, so if this were a nullable type, we could just use here save calls and everything stay the same. Or if at some point we would have a nullability introduced, from that point we could continue by using save calls, which can only be done for extensions, which for regular. Extensions are now very commonly used in Kotlin projects, even for classes that we control. Pretty often, if you have something like class user, with which has name and surname, etc., and you maybe has another class user DTO, but in our adapter layer, maybe it's full name. Let's call it this way. Now let's say that we need a way to map between those two classes. The standard way to convert from one class, one object of one type to another in a one-to-one basic conversion is a conversion function. So a function named to and the type you are converting to. So we could implement it in this way: to user DTO, to user, which would, I think, be generally considered incorrect. Why would it be considered incorrect? Because in most applications, we follow an architecture like hexagonal architecture or ports and adapters or clean architecture, where we assume that adapters can know about domain, but domain shouldn't know about adapters. So as much as this part is correct, this part isn't. So how can we define this two-user DTO? Well, there are some ways like constructor conversion, which are considered not idiomatic in Kotlin, and there is of course an idiomatic approach, which is using extension functions. So in the adapter layer, we can define extension. I would clean up this function because I don't like what AI gave me. It would idiomatically look like that. The same story in here. That would also be defined as an extension, even though it could be a method. But thanks to this fact, we have a nice clean structure of our class. We have a class definition, structure of our file. We have class definition and converter functions from user to user DTO and from user DTO to user. And this is how such classes are and their conversion functions are defined in modern projects. Of course, if conversion isn't like one-to-one transformation, if it requires some dependencies or some complex logic, we define it in a factory class. But this is another story. For simple conversions, conversion function is considered most idiomatic, and it is most idiomatically defined with extensions. This and all the other Kotlin related topics are explained well in books. You can find them on kt.academy. I have a series of books from basics to advanced topics. I also teach them my workshops. I conduct corporate workshops for companies. Basics of Kotlin are covered in Kotlin for developers. It's for groups that have little experience with Kotlin, or in Kotlin Pro, which is directed to groups with some experience in Kotlin or lots of experience in Kotlin, willing to know this language well, know its more advanced features and best practices, common anti-patterns. This is it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it was helpful, and see you on another one.